The following program includes graphic images and mature subject matter intended for adult audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
It's a crime of the most intimate nature, and it often goes unreported. Of the hundreds of thousands of women sexually assaulted every year in Canada, few will ever tell police. Even when they do, the chances of conviction are slim. But tonight we meet two women who did come forward. And as Vashi Capellos reports, they had two dramatically different results.
Was raped, plain and simple.
These are the words of one woman's victim impact statement.
I was raped in my bed.
Read in open court, words detailing a crime. A crime often kept silent. Over a third of all adult women in this country will be sexually assaulted in their lifetime. Hope Kirksey was one of them.
I want the hurt to stop, and I want justice.
But finding justice happens to fewer than 1 in 100 of those women. Hope's story sounds familiar. She met a guy online. She liked him.
I thought he was not my typical type, but he seemed nice.
One date led to two. They kissed. Then he changed. Everything changed.
He got me up off the couch and pushed me towards my bedroom. And that's where he assaulted me, in my room. I had to have sex with him or I think he was going to cut my throat. I felt victimized over and over since the day it happened. By him, by the system, his lawyer, by everything.
Hope did what most women don't do. She came forward, putting herself at the mercy of the criminal justice system.
Probably going through the court system was almost worse than the assault itself.
There are almost 500,000 sexual assaults a year in Canada. Not even 1% result in a conviction, suggesting an epidemic of unreported and unprosecuted criminal activity. This is a story about women coming forward. It starts with the police. At first, Hope wanted to forget the whole thing even happened.
I said, no, I don't want to talk to the police. I was just in so much shock and so scared at that moment.
But friends convinced her. That's when she met Constable Frank Franchella, a 17-year vet on the force.
I walked through the interview door, and that's where I first met Hope Kirksey. She was in a little type of a ball sitting on the edge of the couch, visibly upset and crying, head down, very embarrassed. That was my first impression.
That first impression can define a case. If Frank doesn't believe Hope, no charges will be laid.
The victim gets scrutinized a lot more in a sexual assault. I have to believe their story. I'm the one laying the charge. I have to have the grounds that I believe that an offense is committed, sexual assault.
Less than 10% of women report sexual assaults to police, and only a third will result in charges being laid. In a case like Hope's, where she was dating the man accused of raping her, it can be an even harder task to convince police the story is plausible.
Sexual assault is a very intimate crime. You have to listen to their story and hear what they have to say. Don't just listen, but hear what they have to say.
Frank did believe Hope. The man was arrested and charged, but that's just the beginning. Hope's next step would be court. That's when she says she was put on trial.
She feels re-victimized. She feels as though she's under attack, that her choices and decisions are being attacked and criticized. And most victims of other crimes don't report feeling that way.
Lawyer Pamela Cross has been working with sexual assault victims for 20 years and says myths surrounding rape still make their way into the courtroom.
Where the woman was at the time of the assault, her level of intoxication are irrelevant to the issue, which is, did this accused person commit this crime?
Even though the Supreme Court of Canada has ruled that a woman's sexual history can only be brought up in special circumstances, Pamela says some lawyers don't play by the rules.
And right off the bat, the defense lawyer leads with some questions about that. The Crown attorney objects. Hopefully the judge upholds, sustains the objection. But the question has been asked. The woman who's testifying is now unnerved, as any of us would be, thinking, oh my God, I didn't think I was going to have to answer that question. Am I going to have to answer it? And the question hangs in the room, particularly if there's a jury. You know, there's a little bit of doubt starting to creep into their minds about whether this woman has some kind of background that in fact means we shouldn't feel quite so sympathetic towards her.
I was sick. I just felt sick.
When she finally took the stand, Hope knew it would be her word against his.
I was expecting to be ripped apart on there.
Neither side in the case denied sex occurred, but the lawyer for the accused said it wasn't rape, it was consensual.
I got asked, was I sure that I was assaulted? Was I sure that I didn't get it wrong? I said no repeatedly. And I don't think that at any point should that have been ever misconstrued as a maybe or a yes.
But no is hard to prove. At trial, it is the prosecutor's job to establish that a crime was intentional. The defense lawyer has to create reasonable doubt about what happened. Sexual assaults are no different. The accused is innocent until proven guilty, and it's this man's job to defend that.
If I'm asserting my client's innocence, then I'm trying to create a moving picture for you in your mind as to what happened that will see my client fully exonerated. If I know my client is factually guilty, that restricts me somewhat, but I'm trying to create doubt. I'm trying to cross-examine or raise doubt or show the person that they're not a reliable witness or they're not a credible witness.
Criminal defense lawyer Craig Penny has been cross-examining witnesses for 2 decades. He says each case is different, but he usually focuses on trying to establish that the allegations are false. Things like the wrong person is being accused, memories are false, or that the witness is lying.
Maybe that accused has a positive defense, like he had an honest but mistaken belief in her consent.
But Hope says what is fair to the accused was not fair to her.
Fundamentally, I believe in innocent until proven guilty. However, I don't believe that women should be considered guilty until proven innocent.
Hope battled depression, contemplated suicide, and wondered if any of it was worth it. She says without her daughter Megan, she probably wouldn't have survived the last 4 years. She knew the odds of a guilty verdict were not in her favor. When the verdict finally came, Hope didn't feel like one of the lucky ones.
To be told that you are lucky to get a guilty verdict drives me around the bend too, because I shouldn't be lucky to have somebody convicted of a crime they committed against me. It should just be given.
Hope's attacker is appealing the verdict, leaving her in limbo.
I feel I am not the same person that I was before this happened, and I miss me. I want to say it in my own life again.
Next, the high price of reporting sexual assault.
If I lose the civil case as well, it will destroy me and my family.
Strangers in a dark alley. Women walking alone at night attacked out of nowhere. The myth of sexual assault is that it's random. But the reality is, sexual assaults happen everywhere and to anyone.
It is the total and utter invasion of your being.
Women can be assaulted by strangers in dark alleys, but more often they are assaulted by men they know in their homes, and they often don't tell anyone.
The vast majority of women who are sexually assaulted want to keep it private and secret, so they're less likely to come forward.
But when they do come forward, they can come to Necka McGregor and her network of survivors, Women at the Center, an organization that helps women navigate a court process many say leave them feeling more victimized.
When they're on the stand, the offender is sitting across from them, and his lawyer is ripping her to shreds on the stand again. It's a second rape.
She also says that the system needs to change, adapt to the realities facing women who face violence.
I am so enraged, I am so angry every time, because it is so preventable.
This is another story of coming forward.
I tried to focus on other areas of my life and mask the pain of what happened to me.
We are going to call this woman Ellen. She doesn't want us to show her face for fear of retaliation. Ellen says she was a teenager when she was assaulted by a family friend.
At the time, I'm unsure of whether I registered it as a crime. I was more scared to think of it as that.
She says he touched her. She says he undressed her and told her to tell no one.
He had told me that I had to take all of the events to my grave.
For 5 years, she didn't tell anyone. She says her dark secret was tearing her apart inside, and says since he was friends with her family, she couldn't stop seeing him.
Yeah, it was very hard to not say anything.
She says she was embarrassed, confused, and he was well-liked in her town. She thought no one would believe a teenager.
I felt like I just wanted to scream it, like at the top of my lungs.
Lawyer Pamela Cross says women like Ellen often remain silent.
So a lot of women are making that decision for themselves. I'm not going to be believed, so I'm not even going to bother reporting.
It took 5 years for Ellen to come forward and 2 more years for her to see the inside of a courtroom. That's when she says she started to feel like a victim all over again.
Yes, they did attack my character. They attacked every part of me, I would say.
How easy is it to pick apart a woman's testimony?
I think it's very easy to put the victim into a place where she is not as well able to tell her story as she should be. And that then can start to cause some unraveling of the case.
Ellen says she was asked why she didn't come forward right away, why she still remained friendly with the accused. Her life picked apart to create doubt.
Honestly, don't think there was a way I could have prepared myself for that, because it was something I had never experienced in my life before.
It didn't take long for a verdict, not guilty.
I just started crying. I was very upset, frustrated, just so frustrated because of all that I went through and for having it be basically for nothing.
Ellen's verdict is what the majority of women who come forward hear.
Just because it's not guilty verdict does not mean that I was lying.
Lawyer Craig Penny says it might be hard for women like Ellen to come forward, but that's how the system works.
We live in a liberal democratic society where we abhor that type of error where we convict the innocent person. So we prefer to let the guilty person go. And that's, you have to look at all the reasons why persons are acquitted of sexual assaults. There are doubts that can creep into a case for so many reasons.
Does it weigh on your conscience to defend somebody who you know to be factually guilty?
Never.
Why not?
Because I have an important role to play in our criminal justice system. And you either believe in our criminal justice system or you don't. Either you believe in proof beyond a reasonable doubt or you don't.
The accused denies that any assault happened and is now suing Ellen for slander and other damages totaling over $500,000.
If I lose the civil case as well, it will destroy me and my family. I'm very, extremely stressed by it.
But cases like Ellen's are increasing, according to lawyer Loretta Merritt.
In the last, I would say, 2 to 3 years, I have probably seen more cases where the victim is sued than the previous 20 years of practice.
Civil suits after criminal trials do happen, and the accused has a right to defend their reputation. But Loretta says it's an added burden to coming forward.
I understand if the allegations are completely false and made with malice, with an intention to hurt someone, why that person should have a right in theory. But on the other hand, if the person truly was victimized, it's a horrendous slap in the face to have to go through a civil lawsuit after an unsuccessful criminal case.
I do not know how I will get over this.
While women say they are asked to do their part to report and convict those who sexually assault them, they also say they need help to come forward.
I do not feel strong at all. I feel re-victimized.
Nobody has the obligation to come forward, but I think they have to. I think that's the only way you're going to get some peace of mind.
I will never be quiet about this. This is a global issue, right? It's a global pandemic. I will not shut up.
And there is more coming on this story. Next week, Global News will have new numbers on sexual assault and harassment in Canada. We'll tell you at what age Canadian women are most at risk and why so many cases go unreported. We'll be right back. Coming up, the Canadian whistleblower from Wall Street.
You hear people talk about their conscience, and I literally, physically was just so ill that I had to come forward.
She liked him.
I thought he was not my typical type, but he seemed nice.
One date led to two. They kissed. Then he changed. Everything changed.
He got me up off the couch and pushed me towards my bedroom, and that's where he assaulted me, in my room. I had to have sex with him or I think he was going to cut my throat. I felt victimized over and over since the day it happened. By him, by the system, his lawyer, by everything.
Hope did what most women don't do. She came forward, putting herself at the mercy of the criminal justice system.
Probably going through the court system was almost worse than the assault itself.
There are almost 500,000 sexual assaults a year in Canada. Not even 1% result in a conviction, suggesting an epidemic of unreported and unprosecuted criminal activity. This is a story about women coming forward.
Was raped, plain and simple.
These are the words of one woman's victim impact statement.
I was raped in my bed.
Read in open court, words detailing a crime.
The following program includes graphic images and mature subject matter intended for adult audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
It's a crime of the most intimate nature, and it often goes unreported. Of the hundreds of thousands of women sexually assaulted every year in Canada, few will ever tell police. Even when they do, the chances of conviction are slim. But tonight we meet two women who did come forward. And as Vashi Capellos reports, they had two dramatically different results.
A crime often kept silent. Over a third of all adult women in this country will be sexually assaulted in their lifetime. Hope Kirksey was one of them.
I want the hurt to stop, and I want justice.
But finding justice happens to fewer than 1 in 100 of those women. Hope's story sounds familiar. She met a guy online.